Slamdown is sponsored by Zombie Generation and Impact Fan Nation. Welcome to another episode of Slamdown. Today we've got bad news. We haven't got Charles with us. He's currently very unwell. So, Charles, if you're listening to this, hope you get better soon, bud. And we look forward to having you back next week. Now, let's dig into the GFW Impact. Now, as you know, previous shows, it's been on a roll. You know, the stories have been brilliant. It's been impactful. This week, it wasn't as great as last week. The thing that ruined it for me is there's too many mixed tag team matches. And, you know, next week we've already been told we're going to get Suicide, Sutter and Grado taking on Marabar and other two members. And it's like, well, hang on, we got a 3-on-3 last week. We had a 3-on-3 before that. I'm kind of getting fed up of the 3-on-3 matches. I'd rather have a storyline match or a good knockouts match to start off the show. Or an amazing X Division match. You know, the starters of the show previously were pretty damn good. And now it feels like meh. Not another 3-on-3. I'm getting bored. I'm getting fed up of it. It takes it away. You know, I would like to see something else instead of a mixed tag all the time. Well, I know it's not mixed tag, but you know what I mean. But anyway, we saw Impact opens with Joseph Park and Grado in the backstage area as Grado prepares to pop the question to Laura Van Ness. Now, I'm really, really, really liking this storyline. I'm really liking Laura Van Ness, if I'm honest. You know, she's playing this character, if you will, gimmick role. She's doing an amazing job with it. She's, you know, really getting into character of, you know, the drunk and the way she's lost it. And I've got to give it to the makeup team. You know, the way they've done her face, and, you know, even the dress team, if you look at her dress, it looks like it's got stains on it, tears on it, you know. It's believable. You know, they're making it believable where it looks like she's been wearing this dress for a long time and this dress is breaking away. So, I quite like that. You know, I do believe the whole angle with Grado will be, you know, she'll start drinking less, then realise she's married to Grado and think, what have I done? You know, what's happened to me? And then we'll probably see her get on the phone and go, Daddy, I need you. I need your help. And go back to the spoilt brat character. I think that's the way they're going with it. You know, because Grado's always been portrayed as the jokey, funny, you know, he's not a wrestler build. Fans love him. He's the every guy. You know, that's the way Grado's been. And, you know, I've seen Grado in ICW, IPW, I've seen him everywhere. And Grado plays comedy really well. It's one thing he's always really done. Even I can go back to an ICW event where he came down to Goldberg's music. You know, you saw him backstage, proper acting like Goldberg, coming out of the locker room with the security by him, then stopped at a vending machine to get a chocolate out, and then smiled, and then, you know, living on a prayer hit. It's, you know, that's what he's good at. He's good at the comedy. He's, you know, he gets a brilliant crowd reaction. This is why another thing I've always said, that I feel with Grado, they need to get the rights to be able to play that Madonna song at the Impact Zone, because you'll see such a difference in crowd reaction. You'll see the crowd singing it and stuff like that. You know, when you look at ICW, for example, when you see crowd reaction to Grado, and, you know, when all the music hits and Grado really gets into that, you know, his character, you know, you've got bikers, you've got heavy metal heads singing Living on a Prayer to support Grado. Now, transition that to Impact, it'd be amazing. It really would. And I feel that's what Impact need to try and do. If they can't get the Madonna song, get something close. You know, having the dub version with no music takes it away. You know, because you can't sing along with it. And that was the whole point of Grado. You know, his theme song, it was catchy, it was silly, the fans would sing along with it. And I think that's what they need to bring to Impact. Honestly do believe that. Because when Impact's off the air, they do it. They play his music, he comes down, other superstars come down, they have a laugh. I think him and Alberto came down the ring dancing to it. You know, it's that camaraderie with Grado. And that's what Grado makes Grado so good. You know, he's not the best wrestler, he's not the best built, but it's his charisma and character that really gets Grado over. And Grado is loved in the UK. You know, Grado has got so much backing and fan support in the UK. You know, yes, I can name a better wrestlers than Grado from the UK, but I can't name a better entertainer. And that's what Grado is. He is an entertainer. You know, and I never want to see him change. But I'm loving it how they're playing Grado, thinking, oh my God, I've got to marry her. Oh my God, I've got to engage her. Normally it's the other way around. Normally it's the women going, oh God, it's Grado. You know, I don't know if all of you would have seen this, but when they did British Boot Camp Season 2, Grado was on that, had an altercation with Old Snow, and, you know, what was his excuse? He was late because he had to stop and eat some chicken. And it's just the silly things about him that makes him so funny. That's why I really hope, you know, in time, that Impact can hopefully get the rights to the music, because, like I said, you want the fans singing. So, yeah, you know, I've always found that better for Grado. You know, but that's what I honestly feel. After that, we saw Impact Day in Orlando, in Florida. You know, this special occasion was marked by Buddy Dyer was being the special guest ring announcer for this match. Now, he didn't do the best job. You know, he's not a ring announcer by trade, but he tried his best. You know, and all I can say is we've got Impact Day. NXT hasn't got a day at all, has it? Look, come on. We beat NXT to something. Oh, but I've got to give it, if, you know, forget the wrestling side at the minute, the stuff Impact have done outside of that, you know, for the massacre that happened in Orlando and the support Impact did for the victims was amazing. And, you know, Impact's getting, for me, has earned a lot of respect for that. You know, from an organisation to do what they've done and the things they put on the chairs, you know, I respect them for that. You know, so yeah. After that, we had Eli Drake, who I'm kind of feeling sort of going off Eli Drake, but not because it's Eli Drake, because of the way he's being booked, and also the way he's being used. You know, we're used to the cocky, arrogant Eli Drake. You know, we haven't got any of the camaraderie of shut up, dummies. Dummy, yeah, that's disappeared. And I think that's a problem. To me, I love that side of Eli Drake. I like the cocky, I like the arrogance, I like, you know, calling everybody dummies. You know, hey, you know, when he did the Fact of Life, that was entertaining. I enjoyed those bits. But they feel like that's been pulled away from him. And I don't think it was the right decision. You know, I want Eli Drake to go back to what he used to be. You know, it's... To me, it's like there's a lot of guys on that roster that should be going for that top spot. Eli Drake, for example, you know, Jay Storm, EC3. Pardon me. There are others that could go into that top spot, but at the minute it just feels, again, like Alberto's being pushed over the top. And that's not a good thing. You know, I don't think they should push Alberto all the time. I think they need to have a mixed bag of certain people getting a push at certain times. I know they're building this story with LAX and Alberto, but it feels a bit like, oh God, here we go again. It's feeling repetitive. It's feeling... I'm getting slightly bored of it. You know, the only thing I'm not getting bored of is the Super X Cups, because that is just absolutely amazing. I can't compliment the Super X Cup more than I can. You know, I am hoping we're going to get the World X Cup coming back soon. You know, hopefully. But like I said, we'll have to wait and see what Impact does with that. But yeah, like I said, 6-man tag match. I said Eli Drake, Chris Adonis, EC3 against Eddie Edwards, Narachicky, giving up pronouncing that name, and Moose in a 6-man tag, which we're going to see another 6-man tag next week. It was a good match, quite short. You know, we saw Eddie Edwards get some manoeuvres in. Marufuji got some, you know, great kicks. Looked impressive to me. You know, EC3 managed to get the victory by a low blow on Moose, which leads to Moose versus EC3 for the Impact Championship, which we haven't really seen defended in a while. We know it's been defended in other countries, we know it's been defended abroad, but we haven't seen it defended in the Impact Zone for a little while. Don't know why, though. You know, I don't know why it hasn't been defended in the Impact Zone. I don't know if it's a title they're going to be keeping. I do worry that they're going to drop this title. I really do get that feeling from it, because I don't get... I wouldn't say excitement, but it feels like a title they're not that interested in. Yes, I know Moose is the holder and they're doing well by Moose, but it doesn't feel like they're really invested into that title. So I honestly believe that that title could be dropped and they'll probably go with something like the Next Gen title to replace it. I really believe that's the way they're going to go with it. I've never been a big fan of the format. Never been a big fan of that. I don't think they'll keep with that format either. I really do think they'll drop it, because I think, if I'm corrected, it was Billy Corgan's idea, that championship and that division. I might be wrong, but I'm sure it was Billy Corgan that came up with that whole idea for that. We saw backstage Mackenzie Mitchell interviewing Rich Justice, an Impact standby wrestler. Right, okay. Why are they doing a statement with someone backstage? Now, I would have rather seen something else do that. They could have either done an interview, they could have had someone out there to talk to. Why are you doing standby talent backstage interview? Okay, it's a bit like, bit of a head scratching moment, I'd say. It felt like I couldn't work it out why they did that, to be honest. And I can normally work everything out. It was a bit silly. Do I think it gave anything to Impact, to that show? Not really. We saw Lashley speaking his mind and explaining the pecking order to Matt Sidell. Right, this is where it bugs me. And this really bugs me. This is going to lead to Destination X, which, again, is going to be a show cover. So, it's not a specialist pay-per-view. They're not building up to a pay-per-view. It's just going to be a Impact show that they're going to call Destination X. Now, that annoys me. Because the problem with that is Destination X has always been known as a big pay-per-view and should always be a big pay-per-view. You know, you think about Austin Aries, Amazing Red, you know, all the great AJ Styles, all the great X Division talent. You know, they deserve to have their own pay-per-view, just like the women. The women deserve to have their own pay-per-view. The X Division always had its own pay-per-view with Destination X. Now, what bugs me is they're just naming the Impact show Destination X, but it's not just that bugs me. They're putting normal matches in. It's not all X Division matches, they're putting normal matches in. We're probably going to see the conclusion to the Super X. We already know we get Matt Sidell, Bobby Lashley, but the rest, we know there's going to be a women's title and things like that. And I'm thinking, well, hang on a minute, this is Destination X. Women shouldn't be on it, no offence, I'm just on about because it's a pay-per-view. Heavyweight guys should be it. It should be just X guys. And it really, really grinds my gears. It's more frustration with it. It's like I want to grab hold of Jeff Jarrett, shake him up and say, what are you doing? Make this a one night only. Or make it just a pay-per-view. Do Destination X pay-per-view. Have old guys from the X Division, new guys for the X Division, current guys in the X Division. Have Bobby Lashley and Matt Sidell as main event. But use it as an X Division guy going against a big guy. But the rest of the card has got to be all X Division. You know, we've got to have an Ultimate X match in there. It's the high flying. The X Division was the blood of Impact. It was what gave Impact everything. It made it stand out. To drop that is a silly move. And I'm going to say it's an extremely silly move. In the long term, it won't work. If they're on about making money, making everything profitable, making this company earn its own money, you'd have it as a pay-per-view because people love the X Division. It's your bread and butter. And Impact was on the right track with the X Division. A lot of great X Division wrestlers, and then they do something stupid like this. And it wants me to bang my head against the wall and think, for God's sake. That's how I feel about this at the moment. Like I said, it's just a totally wrong move. Totally wrong move. And I'm not here to bash Impact. I am an Impact fan. But I've got to be honest. I've watched this company from the start. And yeah, it's just highly irritable that you class something as something for the X Division, but it's not for the X Division. Everyone's on it. It's like, what? That's like having the Knockout Knockdown and having the World Heavyweight title defended. That's like having the tag teams defended. You're like, what? Hang on. This is meant to be a woman's pay-per-view, but everybody's defending. What? That's the problem. And that's what I'm getting from this. It's like Hardcore Justice is another example I can give. Why change Impact to Hardcore Justice, mate? Just make it a bloody pay-per-view. They want to increase their pay-per-views, do it that way. Or make it one night only. But you don't have to call it one night only. You can just call it Specialist Pay-per-view, Hardcore Justice. It's... you could book Tommy Dreamer and have some hardcore legends on there mixed with current, do something a bit different. I just don't agree with Impact shows being renamed for no reason. You know, it's frustration. You know, you don't see Raw going, next week we're calling Raw Red Blood. Well, okay, what different matches are you having? None. Is it just like a normal Raw show? Yes. What? Can you see where I'm coming from with this? It grinds on me, the little things do grind on me, and I know I shouldn't, you know, it's a wrestling show, it's a wrestling product, but it's like, for me, it's like, for God's sake, you've got something here. Just don't mess it up. It's just, like I said, I think the company's brilliant. You know, some of the stuff they do, and then some other stuff they do, it's like, why do it? It's just, you know, it's the kind of thing we got through the Dixie regime. You know, that's how it felt. It's just so annoying. But anyway, you know, we saw Matt Sidell taking down Lashley. Yeah, it's not, I'm not into it, to be honest, because, like I said, Destination X should be on the X Division. We saw Bruce Pritchard announce the match was going to be official at Destination X Live on August 17th. We saw Davey Richards taking on, Ishimura from Noah for the Super X Cup first round. Now, I'm loving the Super X Cup. I think the Super X Cup is absolutely amazing. You know, everything they're doing on it is amazing. The match quality has been amazing. It's really highlighted the X Division. And, you know, they've done really well with their partnerships, and that's what I'm going to really compliment this on. Like I said, the match itself was phenomenal. It was hard hitting. It was a lot of back and forth, but we did see Davey Richards end up losing this match. With I really don't want to say his name. Ishimura connects with a 450 splash for the win to go to the next round. But we did also find out that Lashley and Matt Sidell match at Destination X is a #1 contender. Okay, we saw Sienna with KM taking on Rosemary on a last knockout standing match. Now, I'm going to say this. I don't really want to say it, but I didn't think the match was great. I really found the match very disappointing. It wasn't. I think it's because we have been spoilt with Rosemary. You know, you look at matches from her past with her and Jade that have been amazing quality matches, and this fell short. You know, I would have rather seen Rosemary being completely battered in this match. That's what I would have rather seen. You know, in this case, all Rosemary got was, you know, she got shoved off and went for a table, and that was the end of Rosemary. It was a bit like, right, come on. We've seen Rosemary come back from things like this. You know, we've seen more of the crazy, and it's just a bit like, what? And that's how I felt with this. You know, like, again, lackluster. It was a lackluster match for me. It was a good match. There was no really bad faults, but to me, I was expecting better. You know, I was expecting better. I like Rosemary, but I'm not sure if I like her as a face. I think I honestly do prefer the dark side of Rosemary, and to be honest, that's what I wanted to go back to, that dark side of Rosemary. I feel that suits her better than what they're doing with her now. That's my honest opinion on it, and that's how I feel on it. But yeah, there's nothing more I can really say about that match. It's to me, it wasn't great. We We saw backstage, EC3 revealed his new finishing move called the ECD, Ethan Carter Driver. Now, I hope he's going to have 2 finishes. I hope he's going to use the ECD and the 1%er. I hope they're not dropping the 1%er, really do. But the ECD looks more devastating, I will give it that. We saw Mackenzie Mitchell interviewing Alberto, who tells LAX they're going to pay for what they did to his family. Main it really. Trevor Lee is still in possession of Sanjay Dutt's X Division title. Introduce one of the high flyers from Mexico. I think that is AAA. This bloke's from Ocatago. I'm giving up pronouncing it. But we've seen him on the last couple of shows. He's a smaller guy, but he can fly like anybody. But we saw. He hit Trevor Lee with a hurricane. Lee retreated to count himself out, and then we saw Sanjay Dutt once again trying to retrieve his title, but the referees hold him back. So obviously leading towards Trevor Lee taking on Sanjay Dutt for the title. We saw LAX at their hideouts. Conan informs Homicide there will be first in the tough main event gauntlet against Alberto El Patron. We see Joseph Park reacts to Grado for his proposal to Laura Van Ness. We saw it was time for Grado to pop the big question. Calls Laura Van Ness to the ring, proposes to her. But Grado ends up leaving the ring as Congo calms down to calm. Congo Kong calms down to the ring, but Laura tries to calm him down. And just a quick let everybody know, don't forget on the 28th of August, 3:30 PM UK time, we have actually got Congo Kong on Slamdown to talk about his run in Impact and about his career. So don't forget that one. And we'll also, get to talk to him about what it's like to work with Laura Van Ness and what he thinks of the current storyline he's going through. But after that, we saw Unified World Champion Alberto El Patron taking on LAX. 3-on-1 gauntlet match. It was basically a mugging. We knew this weren't going to be a proper match. It started off him eliminating a few, and they all came in to attack, get disqualified, and just beat down on Alberto. We knew that was going to happen. We knew what they were going to do. It's typical LAX styling. It wasn't the best, but it wasn't the worst. I'm just hoping next week's going to be a lot better. I'm hoping they're going to make a lot of improvements. They need to. I did just found it very, very lacking. And that's me just being honest. It was completely lacking for me. But Impact's going to be live next week. That's what they've... Oh no, hang on. Impact Live returns next week. Basically, live events are coming back. They're doing 2 shows, 2 live events, which are in... Let me just check in the website now. When it loads. They've got 4th of August and the 5th of August. They are going to be live in Long Island, New York, and in Calcutta as well. So it's good. We're getting the live events back is what we needed to have back. It's one thing that was missing from Impact was the live events. Like I said, they're taking every step to go back to the old product. Going back to, the live events that they used to do all the time. By the way Impact is going, with the better angles, better storyline, I know the TV ratings are sort of going up and down, but their social media is always going up. So I reckon they should be getting a good turnout for the live events. And it's what they need to do. I can't wait for them to come away from the Orlando Arena because I still feel it's too small. They need one where they can have more capacity. because people that don't know, and it was BQ that told me this, that where they are now is there is a new area. The area they had before was a lot bigger. They could have a lot more seating, but that changed when they went to On the Road. That facility got used for something else, so when they came back, they got put somewhere else because of that facility being used, and it's smaller, so it has a limit on how many people you can have in there, and that's why the Impact Zone doesn't look as big as it used to be because of that reason. So that's why they need to move. But yeah, I am definitely going to say, you know, Impact this week wasn't great. It was good, but not great compared to last week. I know they're building on storylines, but I didn't feel compelled to any storylines. I wasn't excited. You know, it's just felt a bit of a letdown. The only thing we do know is on Destination X we'll be getting the unified titles as well, which we've been looking forward to. We've been looking forward to having, you know, one set of titles instead of these double titles all the time. So that is one good thing. Also, another thing, I believe Abyss is coming back at some point. The reason I believe Abyss is coming back, if you've seen on Abyss's Twitter, he's tweeted a picture about a new mask being made, which looks similar to what the metal one he wears, which goes around and ties at the back. But this one looks like it's going to be more leather and just more of a face covering than the old mask. I'm happy Abyss is coming back, and I'm happy Joseph Parky's going. You know, Abyss should stay as Abyss, but I don't think he should be used too much, because you've got to think he's getting a lot older now. There's newer and hungrier guys there, and you know, you've got to give other people opportunities, and I think that's the way they need to go with this. But yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything I've missed. I don't think there is. Don't forget also to check out our vlogs. That I will be dropping another vlog tonight. I'll be dropping it on Facebook and YouTube, and it will be about GFW Gut Check, on my views on Gut Check, and also what I think of the format and my opinions on that. So that will be dropping later today on YouTube and Facebook. There'll be more vlogs coming. We'll be back on the normal time on Monday at 3:30. Charles will be back. Hopefully he should be recovered and back to full health by then. So I want to say a big thank you to everybody watching. Big thank you to everybody at Impact Fan Nation. I've been your host, Ashley, and I'll see you again soon.